Yai, nai, 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 nai. Yai, nai, 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 nai. Yai, nai, 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 nai. Yai, nai, nai, nai. Yai, nai, nai, nai. Yai, nai, 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 nai. Yai, nai, 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 nai. Yai, nai, 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 nai. Yai, nai, 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 nai. Yai, nai, 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 nai. That's where I see it on my key. Nai, 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 nai. Yai, 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 nai, 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 nai. Nai, 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 nai. Yai, nai, 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 nai. Yai, nai, 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 nai. Yai, nai, 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 nai. Yai, nai, nai, nai. Yai, nai, nai, nai. Yai, nai, 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 nai. Yai, nai, nai, nai. Nai, 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 nai. Yai, nai, 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 nai. Yai, nai, 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 nai. Yai, nai, nai, nai. Yai, nai, 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 nai. Yai, nai, 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 nai. Yai, nai, 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 nai. Yai, nai, 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 nai. Yai, nai, 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 nai. Yai, nai, 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 nai. Yai, nai, nai, nai. Yai, nai, nai, nai. Yai, nai, 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 nai. Yai, 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 nai, 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 nai. Yai, nai, 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 nai. Yai, nai, 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 nai. Yai, nai, 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 nai. Yai, nai, nai, nai. Yai, nai, nai, nai. Yai, nai, 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 nai. Good Shabbos, everybody. Shabbat Shalom. It's oh, yep, thank you. It's so good to see you all on this. Is it hot outside? I haven't been outside today. Yep. Yeah, is it smoky still? Yep. Oh boy. All right. So it's good in here, isn't it? It's good in here. My name is Aaron Miller. I'm one of the rabbis here at Washington Hebrew Congregation. You might notice that our cantor, who is normally with us on Friday night, one of our two fabulous cantors, is missing. They are both in Los Angeles, stuck, unable to get home. So we're here together, right? Which means you got a rabbi who cares very much. For a cantorial conference is why they're gone. But look, it's just us. It's just us. So will you help me sing tonight? Will you help me out, please? It's just, okay, good. Thank you. So I'm so glad that you are here. And just by way of us getting to settle into this space, to get to know each other a little bit, I would love if you would turn to someone sitting next to you. I want you to share your name. I know many of you came here with the person you were sitting next to, but hang on a minute. Share your name. Share where you were right before you came to Washington Hebrew. And it's almost July, almost midsummer. I want to know what you are doing, if anything, for July 4th. Well, I don't want to know. Turn and share with someone next to you. And if you're not doing anything, I want you to share the best thing you've ever done for July 4th. How about that? All right, good. Yai nai 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 nai, ya nai 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 nai, ya nai 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 nai, ya nai nai ya nai nai, ya nai 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 ya nai nai, ya nai 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 nai, ya nai ya nai, ya nai 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 nai, ya nai 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 nai, ya nai nai nai. Thank you. Nai 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 nai, nai 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 nai, yai nai nai nai, yai nai nai, yai nai 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 nai, ya nai 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 nai, ya nai 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 nai, ya nai 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 nai, ya 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 nai nai ya nai nai, ya nai 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 nai, ya nai nai nai, ya nai 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 nai, ya nai 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 nai, ya nai nai nai, ya nai nai nai, ya nai nai nai, ya nai nai nai. Beautiful. We're going to continue our service on page 12 with Lachuna Ranana. Come, let us sing. Let us sing joyously to Adonai. And I want to say this as we come together to sing joyously. That this has been, I was talking to a couple of you before service began. This is what I call a post-it Shabbat. A post-it Shabbat is a list of all the things that have gone wrong in our country over the past 36 hours. It is such a list that I changed my sermon 3 or 4 times before I realized that it's going to be hard to focus on one. So I do want to say that I know many of you are coming into this moment of joy, also struggling in various ways with what may or have been happening in our news cycle. Shabbat is a time when we say yes and. Shabbat is a time when we know that there's hardship and darkness in the world. Shabbat's a time when we know that things have not gone right for all of us from last Shabbat to this. And we make space for joy. And we make space for gladness. And we remind ourselves, and I want you to remind yourself, that there is at least once a week this time of joy, of gladness, of celebration, in spite of it all. And so we're going to sing joyously in this moment of Lachuna Ranana as we turn to page 12 and raise a shout for our rock and our deliverer. Lechune ranina, lechune ranina, lechune ranina, l'Adonai. Lechune ranina, lechune ranina, lechune ranina, l'Adonai. Naria, 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 Liksor yishenu nekadma fanav betoda. Naria, naria, Liksor yishenu bizmirot naria lo. Lechune ranina, lechune ranina, lechune ranina, l'Adonai. Lechune ranina, lechune ranina, lechune ranina, l'Adonai. And we turn to page 17 and join in Romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lehar kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu tachavu v'har kodsho romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu v'har kodsho ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. We're going to continue our service with L'chadodi on page 20, where we welcome in that peace, where we welcome in that joy, where we welcome in that reminder that life can be good in spite of it. And so we're going to join together on verses 1, 2, 5, and 9. Come verse 9, many of you know the deal. We're going to rise. We're going to welcome symbolically Shabbat as Shabbat enters. And usually there's somebody who comes in a little bit later, right around the time we rise on verse 9. Come verse 9, we'll rise together. And we're going to join in that melody that we welcome Shabbat in with as we continue with L'chadodi. L'chadodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela l'chadodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Verse 1. Shamor v'zachor v'diborecha ishmiyanu El HaMeyuchad Adonai Echad U'shemo Echad L'Shem U'Tiferet Ve'elitchila L'chadodi Likrat Kala B'nei Shabbat Nekabela. Verse 2. Likrat Shabbat Lechu v'nehelcha ki mekor haberacha merosh mikedem nehesucha sof ma'aseh b'machshavat tchila lechadodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Verse 5. Hitoreri, kiva ore, kumi uri, shir daberi kevod Adonai, alayich nigla lechadodi, likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela. And we rise on verse 9. Boi v'shalom ateret ba'ala gam b'simcha uvetzola toch emunem am segula boi chala lechadodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela lechadodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Yai nai 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 nai, yai nai 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 nai, yai nai nai nai, yai nai 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 nai, yai nai 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 nai, yai nai 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 nai, nai 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 nai, yai 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 nai 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 nai, yai nai 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 nai. And we remain standing as we continue with Baruch Hu, which is our prayer of coming together, as we turn to page 28. Ya nay 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 nay, 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 ya nay 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 nay. Barechu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam va'ed, Le'olam va'ed. Ya nay 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 nay, 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 ya nay 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 nay. Let's read together on the top of page 29. There is one who sings the song of his own life, finding everything within himself. There is one who leaves the circle of herself and sings the song of her people. There is one whose voice rings with a song of humanity, hoping for the highest perfection. And there is one who rises even higher, uniting with all creatures, with all worlds, filling the universe with song. Nivarech, let us bless. We're going to continue on page, not really a page. We're going to continue with Ma'ariv Aravim, but we're going to do a different version of it. If you're familiar, I'll invite you to join me. Roll into dark, roll into light, night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into night, night becomes day, day turns to night. Borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, golel or mipnei choshech, vechoshech mipnei or. Roll into dark, roll into dark, roll into light, night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light, night becomes day, day turns to night. We continue with Ahavat Olam on page 32, our prayer of love for us, for all of God's children. Ahavat Olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha ahavta, Amcha ahavta, Torah u'mitzvot, Chukim u'mishpatim, Otanu limadeta, Otanu limadeta. Al Kain Adonai Eloheinu b'shokmeinu uvkumeinu nasiach bechukecha v'nismach b'divrei toratecha u'mitzvotecha leolam va'ed Ki hem chayenu ve'orech yameinu uvahem negei omam v'layla ve'ahavatcha al tasir mimenu le'olamim Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Page 34. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem, Kivod Malchuto, Leolam Va'ed. Please be seated as we turn to our prayer for how we show our love with all of our hearts, with all of our soul, with all of our might, as we continue on page 36 with Ve'ahavta. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha Vishinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha uvlechtecha v'derech uvshochbecha uvkumecha ukshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot beineinecha Uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvihisharecha leman tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'hitem kedoshim le'elohechem Ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim v'hiot lachem le'elohim Ani Adonai Elohechem Adonai Elohechem emet. We're going to continue with Mi Chamocha, which is our prayer of freedom, but it's our prayer of freedom not yet. It's our prayer of the freedom we are walking towards but have not arrived at yet. And if this is a week that feels like for you of non-arrival, of even moving backwards a bit, this is our people's story. This is our people's story. We move forward and also we move backwards from time to time tragically too. Regardless of the direction we are headed though, wherever we march, we as a people march together. And whenever we come together for Shabbat, it is yet another reminder that no matter which direction life's journey is taking us, that we're never alone as we travel. And so let's read at the top of page 39. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. And so we join for our people's prayer of freedom, Mi Chamocha. Yai nai 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 nai. Yai nai 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 nai. Yai nai 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 nai. Yai nai 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 nai. Mi kamocha ba'elim Adonai. Mi kamocha nedar ba'kodesh. Mi kamocha ba'elim Adonai. Mi kamocha nedar ba'kodesh. Nora tehilot oseh feleh. Nora tehilot Yosef ele Adonai imloch leolam va'ed. Malchutecha ra'u vanecha okei hayam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam Ze'eli anu ve'amru Ze'eli anu ve'amru Adonai imloch leolam va'ed. Yai nai 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 nai. Yai nai 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 nai. Yai nai 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 nai. Yai nai 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 nai. Sur Yisrael, kuma bezrat Yisrael, ufdeichinu mecha Yehuda veYisrael. Go aleinu Adonai Tzevaot Shemo, Kedosh Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai, Ga'al Yisrael. We'll turn to page 41 with the prayer of protection, of friendship, of love that we give to each other in life's darker moments. Page 43. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu, Hashkivenu L'Shalom, V'ha'amidenu Shomreinu L'Chaim, Ufros Aleinu Sukat Shlomecha, Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu, Hashkivenu L'Shalom. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. We're going to continue with Vishamru on the next page, I should say page 44 on the next page, where we celebrate that the things that last are not the things that we love. The things that last are the things that we protect. The things that last are the things that we cherish. The things that we last are the things that we fight for. And our people have fought for, cherished, preserved this moment of Shabbat for thousands of years as we do tonight. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam berit olam. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam berit olam. Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael, oti le'olam. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, v'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam berit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz
V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam berit olam. Uvayom hashvi Shabbat vayinafash Shabbat vayinafash Shabbat vayinafash V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam berit olam. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam berit olam. We're going to turn the page as we rise for Adonai Sifatai and continue with the Amidah. Yai nai 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 Adonai. Yai nai 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 Sfatai Tiftach. Yai nai nai na na Ufi Yagi. Ufi Yagi Tehilatecha. Yai nai 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 Adonai. Yai nai 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 Sfatai Tiftach. Yai nai 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 na Ufi Yagi. Ufi Yagi Tehilatecha. Yai nai 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 yai nai Adonai. Yai nai 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 Sfatai Tiftach. Yai nai 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 na Ufi Yagi. Ufi Yagi Tehilatecha. Yai nai 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 Adonai. Yai nai 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 Sfatai Tiftach. Yai nai 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 na Ufi Yagi. Ufi Yagi Tehilatecha. Yai nai 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 Adonai. Yai nai 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 Sfatai Tiftach. Yai nai 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 na Ufi Yagi. Ufi Yagi Tehilatecha. We turn the page. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak v'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel v'Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim V'Konei Hakol V'Zocher Chastei Avot V'Imahot Umevi Geula Livnei V'neihem L'ma'an Shemo B'Yahava Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magem Baruch Atah Adonai Magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah. We turn the page. Atah Gibor ve'olam Adonai mechaye hakol atah rav lehoshia morid hatal mechalkel chayim bechesed Mechaye hakol berachamim rabim. Sohomech noflim verofech olim. Umatir asurim. Umekayem emunatom. Lishenei afar. Micha mocha ba'al givurot. Umido melach. Melech meimit umechayeh. Umatzmiach Yeshua, v'ne'eman ata l'hachayot hakol, Baruch ata Adonai, mechayeh hakol. Page 52. Ata kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kadoshim b'chol yom yahalalu chasela, Baruch ata Adonai, ha'el HaKadosh. Please be seated. Let's read together at the top of page 55. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. May this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat. We're turning to a moment that I look forward to every Friday night, which is our time to celebrate our simchas, our time to celebrate our joys, a time to remind us and everybody here that there's a lot of good stuff too. And so if there's any joy, simcha, celebration that you are celebrating in your life, I'm going to call on you as soon as I drink this. Give me just a minute. I honestly don't know how our canners do it, but I'd love to hear. Please.
I went to the World Games for Germany.
Wow, you went to the World Games for Germany, and welcome back. Welcome back. Other simchas, other joys, please.
Yes, well, technically it's my brother's and my sister's, but it was my brother and my sister's birthday yesterday.
Happy birthday, Mazel Tov.
Celebrating with my sister. Waiting for the brother birthday.
Fantastic. Well, happy birthday to them. Happy birthday. Other simchas, joys, please, Judy. That's a big week. Oh, I'm going to miss you so much. But that's a joy that it's working as it should. Beautiful. Other simchas, joys from last week to this. Any on this side of the room? Yeah, please, Claire. You got a promotion at work. Mazel tov, mazel tov, mazel tov. All right, good. Yeah, please, Bill. Today, how many years you lovebirds been together? How many years? 18 years. And many more. There you go. Gabrielle, please. Or Bill. I didn't know what a wicket was until just now. That's great. That's terrific. Now, a wicket is a thing that you want to have in cricket. Yes? Good. Terrific. Mazel tov. That's great. That's terrific. Other simchas, joys, please. All right. Well, good. So we're going to continue with our prayer of joy for the prayer of the goodness of our lives on page 59 at the top of the page. Whether you shared a simcha out loud or you're just thinking of the simcha from last week to this, let's read together at the top of 59. God of goodness, for the gift of wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us, so filled with beauty of the earth, which day by day sustains us. For all these and more, we offer thanks. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha ulechad na'eh lehodot. We're going to continue with our prayer of peace. Peace for each of us here, peace for our country, and peace, of course, for all of God's children. As we continue with Shalom Rav on page 60. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Hamcha Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Hamcha Tasim Le'olam. Ki atahu melech adon lecho hashalom. Ki
Atahu melech adon, lecho hashalom, shalom rav al Yisrael amcha, tasim leolam, shalom rav al Yisrael amcha, tasim leolam, v'tov be'einecha levarei, Et amcha Yisrael b'chol eit u'b'chol sha'ah b'shlomecha. Shalom rav al Yisrael amcha tasim le'olam. Shalom rav al Yisrael amcha tasim le'olam. Baruch atah Adonai hamavarech et amo Yisrael b'shalom. And we know that sometimes peace is not what we pray for those beyond, but for those who are very close to us, for those in our lives, for those in your lives, who are in need of healing. And I know that healing, especially on a week like this, but healing comes in so many forms and can come from so many places because you are each, all of us, in need of healing in so many different ways. And so if you or someone you love is in need of healing, as I look around the room, I invite you to lift the name of someone who you are praying for as my eyes meet yours. We continue on page 253 with our prayer of healing, Mishaberach. Mishaberach avotenu mikor habracha ve'imotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misheberach imotenu mikor habracha ve'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shleima, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. Let's pause now for a moment of silent prayer. And as we turn to silent prayer, I invite you to consider any of the readings on page 63, or just share and bring forward the prayer that you're carrying this evening. Thank you.
liratzon imrei fi vehegyon libi lefanecha Adonai Turi Vegoali Adonai Turi Vegoali May the word of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, O God, my rock and my redeemer. Yehiyu liratzon imrei fi vehegyon libi lefanecha. Well, Shabbat Shalom. There are people who like to read books. And there are people who like to read books so that other people know that they're reading them, right? Do you know any of these people? Yeah, you do. Hopefully you're not one of them. But I encountered one of these people as I went to get my haircut. This was a few months ago. I don't think this person's there anymore, but I was at the barber. I walked in, and at the reception desk, it was just a desk, and there was a guy behind it. He had his laptop and his cell phone. And on this reception desk, so everybody could see it, was this bright red book that he wanted to make sure everybody knew he was reading. I could not get the book out of my head, so much so that months later, I looked it up. I ordered it for you all, so you could see this book that this guy was reading, because he could have been reading. So this book, The Art of War, is the name of this book. The Art of War. It is from the 6th century BCE, so 2,600 years ago, written by Sun Tzu. It is a military strategy book for generals, warriors, people who lead others to battle and ultimately death. And he could have read this on the Kindle. But no, he wanted everybody to know. He was reading The Art of War. Now, this is actually my first time opening this book. So I just want to give you some excerpts of what my haircut receptionist was reading. If his place of encampment is of easy access, he is tendering a bait. There are 6 ways of courting defeat, which must be carefully noted by the general who has attained a responsible post. What else is my haircut guy doing? How to make the best of both strong and weak. That is both a question involving the proper use of ground. I have no idea why he is reading The Art of War. But I got this book, truly, and I wasn't planning on sharing this, but on the back of the book, I noticed this just a few hours ago, is a quote that all warfare is based on deception. And so I think maybe there's more to my haircut guy than meets the eye. Now, we don't have The Art of War in our people's tradition, but we do have another book called the Book of Wars. And this is really important because in our Torah portion, we have war after war after war. We are jumping into a hotbed of wars as our ancestors are about to enter into the Promised Land. And just this week's Torah portion, I wrote it down because I'm not going to remember them all. We've got wars against, this is Parshat Chukat Balak, the Edomites. Now hang on, because we're going to get to them in just a little bit. The Edomites, the Canaanites, the Amorites, the Bamanites, the Moabites, the Heshbonites, the Dibonites, the Bashanites, the Midianites, the Stalactites, the Stalagmites. We go to war against I've used that joke once before, but I love it. We go to war against everybody. And everybody goes to war against us in this week's Torah portion. But thank God we have, exclusive to this week's Parsha, our book of wars. So, how come no one here has heard of the Jewish people's book of wars? And I'm just going to assume here that none of you have heard of the book of wars because, I mean, not to brag, this is just what I do for my job, for my life. I've read through the Torah a great many times. I've skimmed over this little reference to the book of wars at least 12, 13, 14 times. So I'm just going to assume here that nobody here has read, studied, referenced the book of wars. How come nobody knows about the book of wars even when we're about to enter into a war zone? And the answer, you're not going to like that. Anybody here, don't show hands, but you can just nod and I'll see. Anybody here married to somebody who just loses their stuff all the time? Right? Wallet, keys, they have no idea where it is. Anybody here raise a child or raise a child where, like, if their shoes were not like Velcroed or tied onto their feet, they would be still at camp, right? You know what I'm talking about? So you're not going to like this answer for what happened to our book of wars if you're one of these people, because the answer is we lost it. We don't know what happened to our book of wars. We have a little snippet of it, and that's it. Only in this week's Torah portion. There's no other mention of it in the Torah. There's no other mention of it in the entire Bible. There are brief mentions of it in the Talmud, which I'll get to at the very end. The line that we have in our Torah portion is, "And this book of wars, vahev b'shuva." That's it. There's like in the translation, it's not in the Torah, but in the translation and in modern Hebrew Bibles, you'll see after the book of wars, you'll see an ellipsis, the 3 dots, and at the bottom of the page, there's going to be an asterisk or a footnote. This is my first time ever in a sermon citing a footnote, mazel tov, that says on the bottom, incomplete reference. Text is missing. Book is lost. Meaning uncertain. Doesn't matter what Bible you go to. If it's got a footnote, that's what it's going to say after this book of wars. We don't have this book of wars because we lost it. Which, again, we're about to enter into a war zone. The one book we need is this book of wars. It's like going to a regatta and forgetting your boat. I mean, that's how bad this is. So what happened to our book of wars? How come our ancient people's book of wars has completely disappeared? And how do we fight a war without it? And maybe you know the answer. Because even though we've lost our people's book of wars, you probably got one of your own. Right? You probably got one of your own. You probably have a book of wars, and there's a chapter in there on your mom or your dad. There's probably a treatise on that war that you got going with your boss. Your colleagues, I don't know. You might have a chapter on your friends, or at least a couple of them, on your siblings, right? I mean, each one of us, is this just me? Hopefully it's not just me, right? Every relationship, not every relationship, but many of them, come with some conflict. And when a relationship comes with some conflict, you're gearing for battle, right? Even when things are good, you're training. Even when things are good, you're getting ready for that next fight when it's going to come, right? And that's what happens when you and I have a book of wars in our own heads. We don't have to write it down, right? We got this thing memorized so that when the next conflict comes along, when the next battle comes our way, we don't want it, but when it comes, we're going to be stronger, faster, smarter. We're going to be better prepared because we go home after every exchange, after every interaction. I hope this is not just me. And when there's a conflict, right, you want to be ready. You're editing that book of wars that you got in your head, strategizing for when that next time comes, you're going to fight a little stronger. Yeah? Yeah? So what happens when you spend too much time on your book of wars? What happens when you're always getting ready for that next battle? And that's the question that we see with a tribe called Edom. So I'm going to throw a lot of Judaism at you for a minute. So just get ready. We are about to enter into the Promised Land. We are here. Promised Land is here. In the middle, between us, is a tribe called Edom. Everybody say Edom. Edom, good. Edom means red. It actually is what it means. And it means red for a reason, because Edom, spiritual ancestor, the beginning of the tribe of Edom, is a guy named, anybody know? Esau. Now, Esau is a familiar person if anybody here has read the book of Genesis. Because in the book of Genesis, Esau has a mortal enemy in our spiritual ancestor, Jacob, who becomes Israel. And so Esau and Jacob, Edom and Israel, in the book of Genesis, on a good day they hate each other. On a bad day they want to kill each other. And there are a great many bad days in that relationship. And now fast forward, hundreds of years later, Esau's dead. Jacob is dead. The children of Israel encounter again the children of Esau, the Edomites. You follow this, where we are? Yeah? And we extend an olive branch. We say, look, we are about to be neighbors. Let's live in peace. We actually say this. I'm going to read the whole passage here. I normally don't read this much when we're talking Torah, at least from the pulpit. But I'm going to read you an extended passage of how we attempt to come to peace with this tribe of Esau. Moses sent messengers to the king of Edom. Thus says your brother Israel, your brother, you know all the hardships that have befallen us, that our ancestors went down to Egypt, that we dwelt in Egypt a long time, and that the Egyptians dwelt harshly with us and our ancestors. Allow us then to cross your country. Remember, we are where I'm from, we say we're right close. We are right close. Allow us then to cross your country. We will not pass through fields or vineyards, and we will not drink water from wells. We will follow the king's highway, turning off neither to the right nor to the left until we have crossed your territory. But Edom answered him, you shall not pass through us, else we shall go against you with the sword. To which we replied, we ask only for passage on foot. It's but a small matter. But they went out against us with a heavy force, with swords raised. Edom had been planning this fight for centuries. And so even when an olive branch came their way, they cut it down with the sword. And if you spend too much time, right, as we all can, gearing up for that next battle, gearing up for that next fight, even when you don't want it, it is going to come your way, and that's a promise. So how do we end this fight? And I don't know what fight you're in. I don't know whose fight you're in. I don't know who you are up against and who you struggle with, but we all have people, right? We all have people. And I don't know how wars start. I don't know how conflicts start. I don't know how your thing started with your person or two or three. It's actually really complicated how these things can begin. She said this, and you did this, and they did that, and he countered, and it's kind of like a knot that tangles on itself. Really hard to know how wars start. But it's really simple to know how wars end. So I want to share with you what happens to this forgotten book of wars. Our rabbis look at this fragment of a text, just the book of wars, Vahev Besufa. And ostensibly, Vahev Besufa are places where wars in the book of wars should have taken place. The problem is, and our rabbis know this, and our more modern-day scholars know this too, is that there's nowhere named Vahev. There's nowhere in the whole ancient Near East called Sufa. These places do not exist. And so what our rabbis teach when they talk about the book of wars, Vahev Besufa, is, well, here's what they could have done, because our rabbis hate when there's a gap in the text, right? They hate when there's a gap in the text. They will write chapters and paragraphs and entire books to fill a gap of the text. But nowhere in all of Jewish tradition do we have our rabbis attempting to rewrite the book of wars. Instead, what they do is they look at these two words. This is the only part of the book of wars that we have, Vahev Besufa. And they say maybe these are not places, but a sentence in and of itself. Vahev. Anybody know how to say the word love in Hebrew? Ahava. The word ahev is the word ahava, exact same letters, which means love. Anybody know how to say end, like the end of something in Hebrew? Sof. Sufa. So instead of Vahev Basufa being a place where a battle may have taken place or not, they say it's not a place. Instead, these words mean Ahev Basufa, love at the end. When you can forget about your book of wars, our rabbis teach, there can be love at the end. Until then, you're just gearing up for a fight. Until then, you're just gearing up for a battle. And even when you want peace, even when you want wholeness and healing, it's not going to come your way when you got all those spears and swords in your back pocket, when you're always ready to fight. And so what happens, our rabbis teach, if instead, like our tradition has, you forget your book of wars, you leave it behind, but you keep that last sentence, Vahev Basufa, then there can be love at the end. And so, let's forget that book of wars. Let's not try to rewrite it. Let's not try to edit it. Let's not go home and try to devise new strategies, new chapters. This is not a book that anybody needs to read. But if I ever go missing, I do want you to look for that haircut receptionist guy, because if all warfare is based on deception, there is probably a lot more to him than meets the eye. So, Shabbat Shalom. Good Shabbos. Good Shabbos. So we are going to continue with our prayer of redemption, our prayer of healing, our prayer for the world not as it is, but as it should be, as we turn to page 282 and rise for Aleinu. Please rise. Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon ha'kol, la'teit gedula liotzer breshit, shelo asanu kegoyei haratzot, velo samanu k'mishpechot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam, v'anachnu korim, ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד Ushemo echad. Please be seated. We turn to our time of memory as we continue our service on page 291. There are stars up above, so far away we only see their light, long after the star itself is gone. And so it is with people that we loved. Their memories keep shining ever brightly, though their time with us is done. But the stars that light up the darkest night, these are the lights that guide us. As we live our days, these are the ways we remember. This evening, our congregation remembers the yard sites, the anniversaries of the passing of Neil Abrams, Jeanette Lenkin Ansel, Beatrice Barath, Jeanette Benzinger, Adam Berg, Catherine Kitty Burke, Harold John Berman, Esther Marcia Bretzfelder, Hull Bronson, Louis J. Brown, Arthur F. Burns, Ella Bush, William Lewis Bush, Milton E. Cantor, Harry Joseph Cherrick, Al Cohen, Bernard Cohen, Bess Feldman Cohn, Benjamin Jacobs Copland, Robert F. Dine, Shirley F. Disson, Barney Dreyfus II, Samuel Edlovich, Harriet Sonia Levin Frank, John Ford Garrett, Fanny G. Gladstone, Amy N. Barron Goldstein, Minnie Gordon, Bernard Tom Green, Isabel Greenblatt, Bernard Joel Gross, Norma Grossman, Pauline C. Gustorf, Sarah Heller, Leonard Hilton, Seymour Hockhauser, Evelyn Johnson, Fanny W. Kahn, Benjamin Kaufman, Babette W. Klein, David H. Lessner, Sophie Letvin, Samuel Levison, Sue Levitch, Morris Z. Levy, Samuel D. Lux, Elaine Lutterman, Adelaide Mann, Elaine Bassler Martis, Brian Michael Melnick, Irving G. Meltzer, Sarane Davis Meyer, Meyer Michael Migdal, Sarah Munchik, Francis Merle Nathanson, Leonard Edward Nelson, Camille B. Nordlinger, Jacob Orsman, Dora Paul, Harold Perlman, Linda J. Poland, Mildred W. Popkin, Harry C. Rakusin, Max Rosenberg, John Nancy Ross, Leon C. Rubin, Robert I. Rudolph, Martha S. Sagan, Maurice R. Sachs, Mani Sanger, John Schaffer, Abraham Shapiro, Lillian Shapiro, Charles P. Sherman, Neil Sherman, Harold Small, Samuel A. Smith, Morris S. Snyder, Ralph M. Solond, Morton Spivak, Carl Edward Stave, Coleman Brez Stein, Marion Steinberg, Tilly Steiner, Hannah Tizer, Edith Cantor Urau, Sylvia Walker, Bertha Wheel, Betty Weinreb, Seymour Weinreb, Jacob W. Weisberg, Gertrude S. Wender, Michael Wohler, Frank Wolfsheimer, Bessie Wool, and Jean Tasch-Yeager. To those names, we remember those laid to rest in more recent days. We remember David Cantor, Daphne Bloomberg, Michael Wagner, Elaine Evans, Stephanie Selinger Rothschild, Jane Hochberg, Joseph Enid, Leslie Mostow, Harvey Pitt, Alan Darish, and Irving Mises, and Carol Lynn Carger. To those names, I invite anyone who is remembering the passing of someone who they love, of someone who you love, to share their name out loud or elevate it in your heart as my eyes meet yours. Also, if I accidentally mispronounce anyone's name, I invite you to share that name out loud as well.
Stanley Baumstein.
A.B. Essay.
Stephen Oppenheim.
We rise on page 294 for Kaddish Yatom. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabah, be'alma divarach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon v'yomechon uv'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, b'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabah mivarach le'olam u'lalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei d'kudsha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran ba'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to all Israel, to which we together say, Amen. Please be seated. At this time in our service, I would like, before we conclude, to share a few special announcements. First, I would like to welcome Joel Novi, who is, what's your title at Interfaith Power and Light? Head honcho, right? The director of Interfaith Power and Light. I'm so glad that you are here. There's a wonderful event that Washington Hebrew is going to be a part of on July 30th to talk about various ways to make sure we have more green days than orange or red. How about that? And so I hope you'll join. Joel is going to be at our Shalom table. If you have any questions about ways to get involved in this event, it just came out that it's going to be happening, and we're very excited that you are here. Thank you very much. We are also starting July 5th, a deep dive cohort. I normally don't do announcements. This is fun. Deep dive cohort. This is an intensive, like an adult education opportunity on grief in Judaism, which is going to be taking place on Wednesdays in July, starting July 5th. Next Shabbat on July 7th, join us for Metro Minyan Shabbat at Washington Hebrew. If you know anybody in their 20s and 30s, invite them to join, although, of course, the service is open to people of all ages. On July 21st, this is very exciting. We're going to welcome our newest and so exciting member of our clergy team, Rabbi Rachel Schmelkin, as she leads the congregation in her first Shabbat service at Washington Hebrew. I remember my first service at Washington Hebrew. I hope none of you do. There are a great many events happening at Washington Hebrew. Check out our website. I know there are also a number of events with our Sea Change community that can be found on our Sea Change website. I hope you will look at that as well. we are going to join in Kiddush in our prayer of joy, and the joy represented in this case by a glass of wine after leading the whole service and the music solo. I'm going to appreciate this one. So we're going to turn to page 4. Vayechulu hashamayim ve'aretz ve'kol tzivam vayechal Elohim bayom hashvi melachto asher asa vayishbot bayom hashvi mikol melachto asher asa vayivarech Elohim et yom hashvi vayikadesh oto kivo shabbat mikol melachto asher bara Elohim la'asod. Page 5. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Oh God, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu. V'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu. Zikaron l'maaseh v'reishit. Ki hu yom techila lemikraye kodesh zecher litziat mitzrayim kivanu vecharta viotanu kidashta mikol hamim v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon Inchaltanu, Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh Hashabbat L'chaim. Beautiful, thank you. I'll hold that. And we're going to join together. Thank you, Ms. Agnes. We're going to join together in Motzi because we always got a good Oneg Wash in Hebrew. Every Friday night we got 2 of them before and after services. So join me in Motzi. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Thank you. We are going to conclude our service this evening with, I got the prayer, but I don't have a page number. Yeah, there it is. Nope, still no page number. We're going to conclude our service with a prayer of peace as we sing Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu. We're going to do it enough times that even though I don't have the page number off the top of my head. Oh, 353. How's that for stalling, everybody? 353. We're going to join together in this prayer for peace at the bottom of the page. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam. Salam Aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam, salam. Salam Aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam, salam. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. I'll see you in our lobby. Good Shabbos. Good Shabbos.